Yeah, we are back here on WLTH 1370 AM. Straight out of the cannon with me, Scott Cannon. Here on the Friday night, 7:32 in the PM. It is January 17th, 2025. Let me get this caller really quick. Hello, caller. Make it quick.
Mr. Cannon, I wanted to give you an update on some news that's happening in Gary right now.
What's up?
At the gas station on 49th and Broadway, somebody called in about 4 black males standing on the south side of the gas station with guns.
Oh.
Police pulled up. They was able to get the car that the males got out of, but then the males started scattering.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, they are over on 50th and Adams looking in the alley. But right now, you got about 20 police cars down about 49th and Virginia. So if you're in that area, be careful. They're looking for, they caught 1 male, but they're looking for 3 males, young black males, all dressed in black with masks on, and they're all carrying guns. One even has a long gun. So people be careful if you're out in Glen Park in that area.
Oh, all right. Thanks, brother. It's all good. Wow. If you're out there in 49, be careful. They got guns and they might be bussing. Woo. Ain't no joke. What's also not any joke is these fires that happened in the city of Los Angeles starting on January 7th. We know now that probably about 30 people, at least 30 people, have perished in these fires. And, you know, much of this has really turned into the blame game. You know, it's turned into the blame game. You have conservatives calling everything a DEI hire. They called Karen Bass, who was literally elected by the people of Los Angeles, a DEI hire. Because I guess any black person with a job now is a DEI hire, according to these geniuses. One thing I just want to say is, where were these people at when Mike Brown, the FEMA director, who was appointed because he was one of George W. Bush's good old boys, and they completely botched the Hurricane Katrina response? Was he a DEI hire? Just let me know. Was he a DEI hire? You know, one thing I noticed that was incredibly shocking for me was seeing how many black folks there are in Altadena and in these type of neighborhoods that were affected by the fire. Now, I'm not from LA. I've been to LA 3 times, I believe. And all the times when I was a kid, I've been to LA because I had family that lived out there. I think it was Century City that my family lived in, Century City. And it was beautiful. I went out there in January. Around this time, January one year, and I didn't even need a jacket. It was crazy to go from the Midwest, where it was cold and snowy, to LA, where I don't even need a jacket. It's 80 degrees, and I'm wearing shorts in January. That's crazy. That's crazy for me. That was an experience, but beautiful. And my my grandmother lived where you could see the Hollywood sign. I think it was Century City. So you could walk outside of her apartment and just look up and you'd see the Hollywood sign. So I think that's one of the places that is that is burning. She doesn't live in that area anymore. She lives in Northern California, but I've been out there. I've been to a lot of those places. I never really, but I'm not being from there, I had no idea that there was so many black people, because it seemed like everybody that they're talking to from Altadena is black. Like, seriously, virtually everybody I see on the news who's in Altadena, which it seems to be completely gone, is black. And so there's this perception that everybody who lives in those types of places in LA are just celebrities and rich people. That's not true. These are regular, degular ass people. Regular people. Normal people, working class people. A lot of these people, you know, and so a lot of people are so hesitant to especially a lot of people who are partisan hacks are like, well, why should we care about all these celebrities losing their house? Dude, all the people I'm seeing, most of them are blacks, Hispanics, working class people that I'm seeing who've lost their homes. Now, I'm sure in Malibu and Pacific Palisades, I think is a very affluent area. We've seen some celebrities lose their home. Paris Hilton lost her home in Malibu. Billy Crystal lost his house in Pacific Palisades. J.J. Redick, who's the coach of the Lakers, the L.A. Lakers, he lost his house. Jamie Lee Curtis lost her house in Pacific Palisades. Ricky Lake in Malibu. Mandy Moore had a lot of fire damage. James Woods, the famous actor, lost his house. So there is that, like, but in L.A., I'm guessing a lot of the working class people don't live that far away from the celebrities. And so, you know, a lot of people have been dancing on the graves of these people and saying, well, you guys are millionaires, you can rebuild. No, all those people in Altadena, they ain't even rich. Even like one of the black folks I saw in Altadena, who was somewhat of a celebrity, I saw on the news, I was watching one of these news reports, I saw Orrin Waters. Now, you got to be a real music head to know who Orrin Waters is. Okay, Orrin Waters is one of the Waters singers. With his sisters, Julia Waters and Maxine Waters, not Auntie Maxine Waters, but the singer Maxine Waters. They made up the Waters singers. They are some of the most famous backup singers ever in music. They sung on Michael Jackson's records, on Thriller. And they sung on countless records by some of everybody. Like just, you know, Neil Diamond, Patti LaBelle, Paul Simon, you know, Janet Jackson as well. But that's like the most famous brother I saw who lost his house. And he's, like I said, I guarantee you he's not rich just because he sang on those records. He don't get the money for that. He don't get the money for that. Like, backup singers are basically paid by appearance. They don't get, generally, most of the time, they don't get royalties from the records they sing on. They're just singing in the background. And so, I just went to his Wikipedia page. He says it says he lost his home, and his sister Maxine Waters also lost her home. The home of their other sister Julia, fortunately, was not harmed. But yeah, you know, these are people who sung on Luther Vandross records, Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Paul McCartney, Tina Marie, Smokey Robinson, all these people. And they're 80 years old now. And so these are people who are going to have to start all over. So there's a lot of poor people out there. It is not just celebrities, folks. Do not let the media gaslight you into thinking that the only thing that matters is like these celebrities who make up a small percentage of the population. You know, another thing that really got under my skin about the way this is being covered by the corporate media is that there was very little talk about how 30% of California's fighter fighters are prison inmates. They literally have underage, they have young men fighting these fighters. And like, I saw pictures of some of these dudes they were like 17. They might have been 16, 17, 18 years old. These are young people. They are fighting these dangerous fighters for $2 per hour. And then when they let them out of prison, they're not even allowed to become firefighters when that's what they've been trained to do. This is another legacy of Kamala Harris, who argued literally that you know, we had to keep these people in jail, specifically as slave labor for the state of California. And this is basically what they are. This is what a lot of these black and brown people are. This is why I never bought into the idea that, well, Donald Trump and his people are the white supremacists and the Democrats are the good ones. The Democrats are literally filling our prisons with black and brown people and making sure that even the ones who should be getting released from prison aren't being released from prison because they want to be able to use them as slave labor. That's literally the argument that Kamala Harris took to court in California to keep a lot of these young men who should have been released from being released. So now these people are out there fighting historic fires, the worst fires, I think, in American history, at least in a major city. Some of these people are teenagers, and I'm not saying they're angels or that they, you know, that we should give them a Nobel Peace Prize for the lives that they've lived before this point. But we certainly can do a hell of a lot better than slave labor, virtual slave labor. Now, you know, I talked about earlier, a lot of conservatives are blaming DEI on this. They're saying, oh, if California didn't have a lesbian fire chief and a black woman mayor, things would have been better off. Like I said, I mean, we could go back to Hurricane Katrina. Everybody who botched Hurricane Katrina were white men. Just about. George W. Bush, Mike Brown, all them. Who were running the Army Corps of Engineers that built those levees that collapsed and flooded the city of New Orleans? Were they all black too? I seriously doubt it. The liberals are blaming climate change, which again, I think has something to do with it. There's definitely an element. There are some accounts of people who said that there's some arsonists going around LA setting fires on purpose. I would not doubt that as well. There's a lot of sick people walking around, especially in places like LA where, going back decades, Ronald Reagan emptied out all of the insane asylums, what we used to call insane asylums, or the crazy house or whatever. Ronald Reagan started getting rid of them while he was the governor and they started putting those people on the streets. That's why one of the reasons California has so many homeless people is that a lot of people should be hospitalized, who would have been hospitalized 50 years ago, 60 years ago, are just walking the streets. And I don't doubt that some of them might be setting fires somewhere. But the worst thing is that we are sort of, a lot of people are using this as a way to push whatever political agendas. And this is not the issue to be politicized. Now, the Republicans specifically are talking about once they get into power, after Trump is in office, that they are going to condition aid to California, which is absolutely disgusting. They are going to make the aid to California the 6th largest economy on the planet. The state that pays the most in taxes by far. The state that literally helps prop up America's economy. They are going to condition aid. They're going, oh, well, you guys got to drop some of these liberal policies if we're going to send you. You don't condition aid to Israel. Y'all literally voted for Israel to continue murdering children for a year and said that we couldn't put no conditions on any of that aid. You don't condition aid to Ukraine. Give Ukrainians whatever they want. Literal Nazis in like the Azov battalion that inspired terrorist attacks all over the world. But you're going to condition aid to California, the state that, again, is really the main economic engine of the United States. You don't have to agree with their politics, but there is no denying California is America's economic engine. 6th largest economy in the world. Pays more in taxes than anybody. And this is dangerous because when Florida or some state that has a bunch of red state people, or, you know, Hicks, rednecks and Hicks get, you know, when the next hurricane blows them all their houses down, and let's just say we have a Democratic president in 4 years or 8 years when that happens, and you have Miami gone, or you have Mobile, Alabama, or some random city on the, either, you know, in the South or in, you know, in the Gulf region, Texas, let's just say one of the great cities of Texas is wiped out, Houston, by a hurricane. Can they then condition aid and say you got to support LGBTQRS stuff if you want aid for this hurricane? Like, this is what I'm talking about. This is why this is a slippery slope and a dangerous game that the Republicans are playing, and it is sick and has to be pushed back against by everybody. I don't care if you're a Republican listening to this or a Democrat listening to this, or like myself and just anti both parties and think we should scrap the whole two-party duopoly. It doesn't matter. You cannot be playing games with aid when you have people who've lost everything like this. These are Americans. And if to hold them to a higher standard to get aid than you hold Israel and Ukraine is complete madness and completely unforgivable. Hopefully they are just full of crap. That is the best case scenario. The best case scenario that the Republicans are just full of crap and are just running their mouths and just sort of doing a touchdown dance because Trump is about to get off. I genuinely would like to believe that they would not stoop so low. Though this is America. I understand that, like, every time I say I can't believe politicians would stoop so low, they do. But I would hope to believe that even the Republicans would not stoop low enough to condition aid to California while there are hundreds of thousands of people whose lives have just been blown to bits. That's just horrific. People are taking advantage of this. Landlords have increased the rent by as much as 124%. So the landlords are price gouging now. The insurance companies are price gouging. As of August 2024, Allstate increased home insurance rates by an average of 34%. The insurance companies knew this was coming, or something similar to this was coming. And what's even worse, we talk about the water situation. There's one couple named Stuart and Linda Resnick who literally consume 150 billion gallons of water annually. They literally have most of California's water. They own most of California's water, and they use it to grow pistachios. That is what they're doing with it. And so a lot of California's water has been diverted away from the commons, where it would make it easier to get to different entities, not just in LA and in the Southern California, but in Central California and the Bay Area, the whole state. Much of its water is actually controlled by this billionaire couple with a net worth of $9 billion. And this is what I talk about on a weekly basis on this show. Look, I'm not just hating on somebody because they got money. It's not about hating. This is a zero-sum game here. As the wealthy are getting wealthier, they are taking more and more of the Earth's resources. They are wrecking the planet. They are hoarding what resources are left, whether it's water. They own all the food. They own the media. There are real consequences. They buy off our politicians. That is why it is undemocratic to have people who have that much wealth, that much power in a society. It's not about being jealous. It's not about being envious. It's about what kind of society you want to live in. You want to live in a society, you want to live like Brazil? I talked about this when we talked about Kim Robinson a few weeks ago. You want to be like Brazil? Because that's basically where we are now. A third world country where everybody knows everybody is corrupt. Everybody just sort of acknowledges it. We understand that a few rich people are going to own and control everything, like our media and our resources. And there's nothing much we can do about it except for, just kill each other and make more babies. That's where we're going. That's where we're going. With people like the Resnicks, with people like Elon Musk, who was tweeting out a few weeks ago, talking about how people were happier when they were living with 11 children in a 2-bedroom apartment. And he was mocking that all people in our generation as millennials and Zoomers who were saying that we can't have kids because it costs too much. He said, well, your grandparents, your great-grandparents had 11 kids in two bedrooms. Who wants to live a 19th century standard of living? Who wants to have a 19th century standard of living in 2025? This is what they're trying to take us back to. This is what the elites want. They want to take us backwards to a 19th century standard of living for us. They're going to be living in the 22nd century. Elon Musk is going to be on Mars somewhere. All the Bill Gateses and all the Mark Zuckerbergs and all the billionaire elites, they're going to be on Mars and Jupiter and Venus and out to colonize the entire solar system. We are regularly going to be living with the effects of climate change, of endless wars, and resource deprivation because of them and their greed and the corruption that they engender in our politics. And it really is unfortunate that the people in Los Angeles County have had to be victims of politics on both sides of the aisle. But, hopefully this will be a wake-up call for them and everybody else. Ooh, man, rest in peace to them. The people who lost their lives, I believe it's 30-something people who've lost their lives. Rest in peace to them.